This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here today. Before we get started into the content, I want to give a shout out to Phoenix Starborn, who's had a tough stretch going on in his life right now. He has been a constant in this space and certainly a part of this channel for quite a long time. And I certainly think the world of Phoenix Starborn. If you guys are able to, or if it's in you to be able to help him in any way, go check out his GoFundMe page. I know I just went and saw him this morning. Phoenix, hang strong, my brother, and I hope that the rest of everybody that can help will come see your page and try to help make a donation. All right, now let's get going to the numbers this morning. And before we do, I told you guys I wanted to help you, just like I'm trying to help Phoenix here. I want to help some of you people that out here have gotten unstoppable domains, .cryptos, and there have been some really great ones, and I try to take a few every day and put it in here. So here is XRP Hollywood really quickly here. And we're going to get onto it. We have one hell of a show today, by the way. Laminate.crypto, laminates.crypto, newflooring.crypto, newfloors.crypto. I think these are really, really great ones. And they have so many more. Some I can read, some I can't. But nevertheless, I still think they're very creative. Bridge Asset and bridgeassets.crypto as well, and bridge currencies.crypto. Really great names, XRP Hollywood. All the best to you. Let's go ahead and do the numbers here and get right to it. Bitcoin's $11,791.18. Ethereum $368.79, and XRP is 24 cents. 0.2432 for the XRP price, 10.9 billion, almost 11 billion for the market cap. 24 hours down 2% at 1 billion plus. For the 1 billion plus for a 24-hour volume. It's so low, it didn't look right. It's 45,248 million plus for total circulating supply. Those are your numbers. Let's get right into this thing and make the case this morning. We have a lot to go over. Let's recap just a little bit, but stay with us all the way through it. As we move through, you want to know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but it doesn't make it any less a big deal. It's a big deal. SpaceX's Starlink global internet begins, and it says a massive disruption is about to happen by 2021 for global internet. Now, that is exciting. Thank you to Joni Gould-Bronson. And this is James Rule XRP here. New tool by XRP Ledger researchers is a must-try for every XRP enthusiast tired of endless scams. XRP hodlers or holders can now check suspicious transactions in a click. That is exciting, I believe. That really is exciting. I tell you, they're always 5 steps ahead, if you will. Now, let's get into what we saw yesterday. It was a lot to take apart, and I want to lay down some comments from each thing that happened. We had the IMF meeting, then we had DC FinTech Week. Shout out to Dr. Chris Brummer, who is amazing. We interviewed him for Cryptonaires the movie. And by the way, Dustin Planhold and I will be looking at a full-length rough of the film this week. I am ecstatic. That means we're getting really close, ladies and gentlemen. We'll keep you posted on that as well. So this is what was said by Jerome Powell. Then we're going to get to some comments from David Schwartz, some comments from Brian Brooks, and then we're going to put a bow on this thing. And I think you're going to like it a lot. Okay, so here we have Federal Reserve Chairman Powell talks U.S. digital currency private collaboration. The U.S. lags behind other countries in both conventional and banking infrastructure and the production of a digital currency. Well, listen, I know that my opinion that, I think behind the scenes we're a lot further along than they say publicly. I believe that because of many reasons, but I'm going to keep it short. I believe that because the reality is that back in 2015, the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force was started, and in 2017, Ripple joined that task force. That is a public-private relationship, collaboration, okay, since 2017. From that task force, it was found that Ripple was cited as the best solution. Ryan Zagone was put on the steering committee to implement the findings from the McKinsey report of the task force study. which, by the way, had 300 of the largest companies and banks on that task force from around the world. So you would have to believe, if we're truly behind, which I believe that there are second, third, fourth tier businesses and bank structures that have not taken up the system. That I absolutely believe. And that is a reality of innovation in tech rolling across many different industries and sectors, right? But for the Federal Reserve's role in this, they have been a role in this since 2015 at least. And alongside of Ripple, or Ripple alongside of them, however you like to say that, since 2017. So the idea of being behind may be accurate because they haven't revealed it to us. But to me, there's been a lot more done behind the scenes than they're willing to put forth. Now, I don't think that that's nefarious, but I certainly think it's intentional because it's not in their best interest to broadcast what they're doing until they're ready for everyone to know that they've done it. And that, I think, lies where we're at here today. And we're going to look at some information about that that supports that. So that's where I'm at on that whole thing, just so everyone knows. Now, let me play this 30-second clip right here, what Jerome Powell says, and then we're going to lead into another area here.
To modernizing payments infrastructure, to reaching consumers that have traditionally been underserved by financial institutions.
So just stopping right there, to modernize the payment infrastructure. Well, they've been working on that since 2017. But he had been telling us that he didn't want a public-private relationship. And now yesterday he said, we do want that. Now that we've been working with the BIS and the Innovation Hub and all of this. Now all of a sudden they want it. Well, they wanted it in 2015 when they started the task force. They wanted it even more in 2017. And they wanted it even more in 2018 when they had Ryan Zagone on the steering committee. Let's keep listening.
Other potential motivations are more macroeconomic in nature. Each jurisdiction will need to think carefully what its principal motivations may be. And for the Federal Reserve, as I mentioned, our main focus is on whether and how a CBDC could improve an already safe, effective, dynamic, and efficient domestic payment system. Unlike some jurisdictions, here in the United States, we continue to see strong demand for cash. Moreover, we have robust and mature financial and banking sectors, and we have a highly banked population, so that many, although not all, already have access to the electronic payments system. Our payment system is evolving quickly as technology advances, for example, with the introduction of instant or fast payments, both private and public, including the FedNow service. We think it's important that any potential CBDC would serve as a complement to, and not a replacement for, cash and current private sector digital forms of the dollar, such as commercial bank money. You ask about Libra, and I agree that it highlighted the need to improve cross-border payments and generally succeeded in focusing attention on payments-related issues, including consumer protection, cybersecurity, and privacy. So it's probably too early to say how much Libra will ultimately shape the payment system. I do think it has caused regulators to think carefully about the appropriate risk management and compliance expectations for emerging innovations. And I would point to the FSB's consultation on global stablecoins as a...
There you go. He would point to the FSB, the Financial Stability Board, on global stablecoin arrangements. So here is that document. Well, what's interesting about this is that all of this verbiage is really starting to line up, especially for somebody who has been behind the eight ball and they're behind the system. I just don't believe it. You couldn't get me to believe it for all the tea in China. You just couldn't get me to do it. And the reason is because I just pointed out to you that the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force was about solving this problem with public and private collaboration. Was it not? It was. So the reality is we're seeing the international level that he is citing now, the Financial Stability Board, which this is a PDF file, as you can see at the top right there, or top left, about the Financial Stability Board comments on regulation, supervision, oversight of global stablecoin arrangements. This is phase 3 of three phases here. Now, what's interesting is I'm going to read this to you and see if it sounds very familiar to more comments we've heard of recent in the last 24 hours. They have the potential to bring efficiencies to payments, including cross-border payments, and to promote financial inclusion. However, a widely adopted stablecoin with potential reach and use across multiple jurisdictions, so-called global stablecoins, or GSCs, could become systemically important in and around or across, one or more jurisdictions, including as means of making payments. That is the Financial Stability Board, which he just deferred to in that last comment there. So, international, domestic. International lining up and aligning verbiage with domestic. This is from the top down, what we're seeing here. Then we have these comments from David Schwartz. Shout out to him and XRP Crypto Wolf. Ripple CTO Joel Katz says there is a need for a neutral, jurisdictionless digital asset across multiple jurisdictions. A jurisdictionless digital asset that will serve as a bridge for CBDCs and other types of stablecoins. David said XRP can be the hub and the backbone that provides that fast international settlement piece. Well said, David. Going into this, right, it breaks down in here basically the same, these comments a little further, but this is a great read of the thread that went on yesterday, and I suggest you all check it out. But at any rate, last week, the G20 Financial Stability Board published a roadmap for cross-border payments, highlighting where it recognizes the advantages of stablecoins while also assessing the risks. G20 members are working closely with the IMF and other major financial organizations to develop a regulatory framework for central bank digital currencies. Yep. It just keeps going on and on and on. It just makes sense, right? While this concerted effort could potentially mean that a global stablecoin is in the works, Schwartz stated that there will not be one asset to rule them all. And I think that's right. And listen to what he said here. I think lots of digital and fiat assets will compete to play that role, and there is room for more than one. I see the dollar's role as the world settlement currency slowly shrinking and international commerce increasing. That's exactly it, man. That's what the deal is. Then we think about this. I covered this back in September here and even before this, but DTCC outlines steps to achieve complete dematerialization of physical securities in the U.S. Now, shout out to the person who sent this to me. I can't remember if it was Bond Crip or someone else, but nevertheless, thank you to you who did send it as a reminder. And this is a reminder that DTCC, which settles derivatives to the tune of $2.15 quadrillion every year, is looking to move to digitization. And they've done that through two different projects that they've pursued in here, which is Whitney and Ion, and able to deal with tokenization of all stocks and derivatives. So, and equities, bonds, and the whole bit. You get it, right? Well, that's interesting because we already see in Singapore that they've begun to do so. Bond eValue has announced that it has been approved as a recognized market operator, RMO, by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. It operates Bond Blocks Bond Exchange, the world's first blockchain-based bond exchange. Then I remind you of ARCA. ARCA is tokenizing treasury bills, U.S. treasury bills on the Ethereum network. Don't believe it. It's still true. And what recently had a bridge between Ethereum and the XRP ledger? The Flare network. Come on in. This is really amazing seeing all this come together. Now, here's some powerful statements. We're going to look at two different comments from Brian Brooks here that really, really lay it down. Now, this to me lines up with not only describing XRP in the ledger, it also lines up with the Financial Stability Board about that global jurisdictionless global stablecoin that David Schwartz is referencing, and the Financial Stability Board as well. Listen to this comment here.
Act with anybody who's connected to the internet, and that's a good thing for stablecoins. And then ultimately, really, Chris, I think the real use case of crypto is in a world of increasing integration and increasing globalization. It really makes no sense to think that anyone across borders who wants to transact with each other has to pay a foreign exchange fee to change yen into dollars, let's just say, and then also to pay a money transmitter for the act of hitting the send button and sending that money across a proprietary platform. Imagine if there was a single token that was recognized on both sides of that divide. And when you received it, you could cash it out into your local currency. And when I received it, I could cash it out into my local currency without the need to change it, right? Those kinds of things occupy so many trillions of dollars of friction in the system that it's, when people say there's no killer app to crypto, I sort of think, no. The killer app of crypto is the simplest application, which is avoiding frictions. That's what it's all about, much as the internet did for sending information. Act with anybody who's
that to me is a pretty powerful comment. Now let's look at this comment here as well, because this one came from a digital asset investor who took a quote from Brian Brooks in that same conference at the DC FinTech. And again, shout out to Dr. Chris Brummer, who's amazing. Let's take a look at this comment here, and shout out to DAI as well. I expect there is a future where banks will be directly connected to blockchains, where they will see that as a payment network, and they will become nodes on the network, along with all sorts of other companies that also have nodes on that network. Brian Brooks, #0doubt ever. Yeah, that is exactly right. And I'm right there with you. So basically, think of this for a moment. All the banks will directly be connected to blockchains, where they will see that as a payment network, and they will become nodes on that network, along with other companies. So a mad dash of everybody moving to a network for that to be the payment system, right? Well, you know what I'm reminded here of? And let me see if I could just pull this up here very quickly. Let me see. Let me see if I could find this for us very quickly here, if this in fact is the document. No, it's not it. Let me see. That is not it. Let me see if I can find this here for us. One second, guys, because I think this is really, really important for us to see if we can find it. At any rate, I don't know if I'm not going to go through the rabbit hole of finding it today, but the DTC paper, consultation paper, where they really recommended that if you wanted to have a global cryptocurrency, you would essentially force the will of the majority of global payment providers onto the rest of the world that needs to make payments, and force that onto them and mandate its use of that protocol or cryptocurrency. That was a recommendation of one of the top 4 accounting firms of the world. Okay. So now, with that being said, let's also listen to this, because, you know, we take these comments. Imagine if there's a single token that was recognized on both sides of that divide. When you receive it, you can cash it out on the your local currency. When I receive it, I can cash it out to my local currency without the need to change it. And then the comment here again about all the banks moving and connecting to blockchains, and then eventually becoming on that payment network and becoming nodes on that payment network. Sounds a lot like what could happen here that could affect price.
I don't think that we're going to be accounting for things in Bitcoin or XRP.
So he says right there, immediately right out the gate, and shout out to Miguel Viez. And don't forget about the Lunch and Learn that's happening tomorrow at Link2. Make sure you sign up for that. Go to Link2, sign up, register, download the free app, and join us for the Lunch and Learn. I will be there with Miguel Viez. It's going to be really great about metals, fintech, and crypto. Okay, so listening to this comment here, you're going to hear him say that you don't see things being denominated in Bitcoin and other cryptos, and that makes sense. But now that brings us back to a jurisdictionless, neutral asset in between, where everything else can remain what it already is in the world.
In the foreseeable future, right? So things will still be used, and the unit of account will still be the currencies. So if there were like an incredible rush of demand for XRP to use as a settlement, asset globally, more likely than not, what would happen is the price would have to adjust to.
There you go. If there'd be a huge demand or a rush to use the asset XRP for settlement, then the price would have to adjust. So much like the comment that we see here from Brian Brooks, where he talked about banks will be connected to blockchains, and they will see that as a payment network, and they'll become nodes on that network with all sorts of other companies. And if you see that kind of mad dash and understanding, it'll more than likely be because you see that they found from the International Regulatory Agency, the Financial Stability Board, on an international level connected to the G20, has made the determination that something like XRP and potentially XLM can fit this role. And then you see a further drill down from people like the Fed, Jerome Powell, and probably the Treasury and FSOC and things of that nature to go ahead and tuck in things like RippleNet and the XRP Ledger ILP and the XRP token. This is why I believe we haven't gotten a classification on XRP yet, not because we're lagging, but because the U.S. is the largest economy in the world, and they want to see the rest of the world get things done, and then we will turn the lights on so quick it'll make your head spin. That's how I see it. So that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. And if anything you may want or need, whether it's a ledger or .crypto from Unstoppable Domains or anything else, pure VPN, hide your anonymity online, things of that nature, I've got all that stuff, and I use every bit of the stuff that you see in those comment sections and description box. So make sure you check it out for anything you may want or need. I'll catch all of you on the next one.